Jerome Powell was downplaying what was going to take place regarding our economy. The reason I said he was downplaying it is because, let's be honest, Fed chairs are supposed to downplay it. The Fed chair, our economy functions on confidence, and the dollar is not undergirded by anything short of the military and confidence. And so you don't want the Fed chair coming out saying, oh my God, everything is on fire. He's not going to do that. What the Fed chair is going to do is be more muted. He's going to downplay, because what he doesn't want to do is freak people out when there's a market sell-off because the Fed chair said something that freaked people out. Me, I have no such issue. And if it becomes very clear that, okay, you're putting on tariffs, these tariffs are increasing prices, the increased prices that people are effectively paying and the weakening of the dollar means that people are paying more for what they were typically getting, and you're causing a recession. Increased prices and a recession equals stagflation. I said that like a month ago when Donald Trump initiated this trade war. And what do you know? What do you know? What do you know? Apparently, everybody else is catching up, because the numbers that came out show the economy shrank by 0.3%. The U.S. economy contracted by 0.3% in the quarter of 2025, the first negative reading since 2022, according to the initial measurement released on Wednesday by the Commerce Department. As bad as that number, as you think the number is, it's worse. Because in the fourth quarter, it was 2.4%. If you add those numbers together, that is a 2.7% contraction in the economy over the course of the 3 months, first quarter, 4 months, that Donald Trump has been in office. It wasn't an act of God. It was what Trump is doing in regards to policy. And if you look through the article, right here's another point. Economists were expecting the GDP to have grown 0.4% for the first 3 months of 2025, compared with an increase of 2.4% in the fourth quarter of 2024. So in 2024, 2.4%, now negative 0.3%. Add those numbers together, that's a 2.7% drop. 2.7% drop. Go further in the article. Many analysts are warning that the economy is now undergoing a slow motion swoon. That's the way to put it. A slow motion swoon. Who wrote that? Who is writing dry economic data and they come up with the term slow motion swoon? Okay, God bless them. Shipments in the West ports are plunging, while prices increases are expected to begin eating into sales data and incomes as heightened uncertainty freezes investment. Quote, a period of stagflation now lies likely ahead if the current set of tariffs are maintained, with recession the most likely outcome, and additional reciprocal tariffs are imposed in full in July. Ian Shepherdson, chief economist at Pantheon Macroeconomics, said in a note on Wednesday. I love to be proven correct. I do indeed love to be proven correct. Again, not an economist, rational man, sitting on the moon, looking at events, and can add 1 + 1 and come to the conclusion that equals 2. It was obvious and it was inevitable in the way that Donald Trump went after this. Now, to be fair to Trump, I don't take issue with Trump's diagnosis. Meaning you're looking at the economy and you're saying, okay, our industrial base has suffered. We're getting all of these products in, people are losing jobs. We need to increase business, increase jobs. We need to bring those jobs back into the United States. Okay, that's a rational assessment that a person can come to. So I'm going to have a tariff war against the world because China has been taking advantage of us and we've been a whipping post. Okay, that is absurd. That is just ludicrous. Meaning, you can define a problem. Okay, I think that's 2 + 2. The answer is 356. No. Just no. You're getting it wrong. And because you're getting it wrong, everybody else is suffering for your incompetence. And of course, somebody who lies as easily as he breathes, as Donald Trump, is not going to accept that it's his fault. And so when Donald Trump is pressed on this, and before I even get to that, to show what this means to you, I love this clip. This is a clip by CNBC, who would typically, ostensibly, be on Donald Trump's side. Republican, tax cuts, more money in the pockets of the rich. Donald Trump's a billionaire. You would think they would love Donald Trump. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they say. Don't take my word for it. Take their word for it. When they try to put this in real world terms.
Justin,
okay, I guess this is MSNBC. Oh, I'm sorry, MSNBC. But listen to them put this in real world terms.
I'm going to put up just a chart showing how past presidents have performed in their first 100 days, according to the stock market, the S&P 500 for the first 100 days. Joe Biden is at the top of this list, 8.5%. That's how well he did with the S&P 500 in his first 100 days. Look at Donald Trump, 2024 down there, negative 7.8%. He is ahead of only Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. How do I read that? How do you read that?
Yeah, let me put that in more directly human terms. So stocks have fallen 8% under Trump since inauguration day. The market cap of the S&P 500 is $52 trillion. Multiply one by the other, you get $4 trillion, divide by the number of households, and now it's going to get human. That's $33,000 per American household.
Wow.
So the cost to your 401k, to the average viewer out there, is one car. He's cost you one car in 100 days. Good luck for the next 3.5 years, I reckon.
One car in 100 days. Trillions of dollars just gone from the stock market in 100 days. Trillions of dollars just up in smoke. Up in smoke. I want to make this in more real terms. When Donald Trump is pressed on this, hey, you said that when Joe Biden was running the government and the stock market was under Joe Biden, that was his fault, that he was the one that was responsible for it. All right, great question. What is Trump and how is Trump going to answer this? I mean, this is a pretty damning question, right? My mouse is like freaking out. I don't know what's going on with my mouse. All right, I'm going to share this. This is Trump answering the question about
Airlock Houston, we see you.
What do you have to say about it?
Transition, sir. You frequently took credit for the stock market highs.
Closed the thermal cup.
You said it was a reflection of how well you were doing in the polls, and then after you were elected, you said the stock market highs were a reflection of how well the transition is going and the American people's confidence in your incoming administration. Now, the stock market's not doing so well, and you're saying that's the Biden stock market, yet you are the president. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm not taking a credit or discredit for the stock market. I'm just saying.
Transitions.
Oh, Trump's take is, I'm not taking credit for the stock market. Just, okay, it's not me. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. You're standing there, jelly all over your face. Did you get the jelly? Did you take that out? No, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I know the chocolate is all over my fingers, but nope, I didn't do it. And when he had his meeting yesterday, he had to deal with people asking him about the economy. Hey, bro, the economy under you shrunk by 0.3%. What do you have to say about that? That's a big deal. That's a 2.7% contraction. They were expecting one thing. It came out to be completely different than what it was supposed to be. And again, it was 2.4% in the fourth quarter. In the first quarter, first 3 months, 0.3% contraction. Now, he wants to lie and say, well, the tariffs hadn't gone into effect. That's a lie. The tariffs did go into effect because if you remember, Donald Trump had to walk those back to 10%, meaning they had already gone into effect. And they're already in effect now on China. Listen to Donald Trump's response when pressed on, hey, this is your economy at this point. What do you have to say about the fact that the stock market, or not just even the stock market, the economy itself, the GDP, has taken a hit?
We took over on January 20th. These are quarterly reports. We took over on January 20th. The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. I know that, and I don't want this to happen, but I know that China is doing very poorly right now. I just saw some reports coming out, and I don't want that to happen. We took over on January 20th. These are quarterly reports. We took over on January 20th. The tariffs haven't kicked in yet. I know that, and I don't want this to happen, but I know that China is doing very poorly right now. I just saw some reports coming out, and I don't want that to happen to China. I like the president a lot, President Xi. I don't want it to happen. I was actually saddened to hear it, but they are getting absolutely hammered in China. And, they're sending boats, the biggest boats in the world, carrying cargo like nobody's ever seen before. These are the biggest boats in the world, biggest cargo ships in the world. And they're coming and they're turning around in the Pacific Ocean. They're doing a big U-turn and going back because they don't want the goods because 145% tariff. But at a certain point, I hope we're going to make a deal with China. We're talking to China, but their factories are closing all over China because we're not taking their product. We don't want their product unless they're going to be fair with us. And that
Now, just be clear, all of these are lies. All of these are lies. The notion that factories are closing in China, nope. The notion that Donald Trump is talking to China, nope. None of those things are true. Boats, empty cargo, yes, and that's not even true. Ironically, in all of this, is that imports into the U.S. went up. And it went up because people went on a buying spree in order to try to avoid the tariffs. So, yeah, there might have been empty cargo ships. Fair enough. Factories are not closing in China. China's not budging. The economy is what it is what it is. And if you notice, he meandered from the 0.3% as if what you are doing to China somehow makes the number that we're getting okay. It doesn't. Meaning, this is a fight you engaged in. This is not a fight that the American public wanted. And to make that point even clear, the fact that the American public voted for Trump mainly on the issue of the economy, and now when they're looking at the economy, they're like, this is horrendous. He's doing a horrible job. This sucks. Gets across a change from where they were when they elected him and what they elected him on versus where they are now and their perspective of him on that very same issue. It is a radical decline. And I'm pointing out, it doesn't matter what is happening to China. It matters what is happening to the American public, considering you are the one that initiated all of it. You did this. I don't care what happens in China. I care what happens here. I live here. So you did this. So this meandering in the conversation, well, I mean, the numbers, they're China, but China. Factories are closing in China. Xi Jinping, he's a great guy. He's a really great guy. But, this is a bullshit artist trying to bullshit and failing at it miserably. That's what that is. That's what this is. A bullshit artist trying to bullshit his way out of his own failure. That's what it is. No more, no less. It's on him. It has nothing to do with China. And to make the point even clearer about China, oligarchs in this country made the choice to say, hey, I can shut this factory down. I can ship it over to China, and I can pay wages much, much, much less in China. And yes, Bob, Tyrone, Paco, I don't know, Shirley, all of you have lost your jobs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. You can work a service job. You can drive Uber. I'm sorry about that. But I need to make buck. I need to buy another house. I need to buy another boat. I need to buy, another resort at Martha's Vineyard. I need these things. If I don't have those things, I'm going to jump off of a roof. So I'm sorry you had to lose your $15 job. I need to make bank. And they did this for 50 years, year after year after year. And they would take the money and they would pocket the money, or they would take that money, they would buy back stock, or they would take that money and they would put it into a political campaign to ensure that the tariffs, when that stuff is coming back into the country, is as low as possible, or for that matter, to get political favors where they can get kickbacks in regards to tax breaks. That's what they did. China didn't do that. They decided, we're going to build railroads, we're going to build high-speed rail, we're going to build buildings, we're going to invest in drones, science, we're going to invest in people, college, science, etc. That's the difference. Don't blame China for something that your own system not just allowed, but propagated and encouraged. Blame your oligarchs. Blame your system that did it. China had nothing to do with it. Have they advantaged themselves? Yes. Just like your oligarchs advantaged themselves off of it, or just like your political figures advantaged themselves with the money that they were effectively getting from these plutocrats in this country. China had nothing to do with it. I don't care what your trade war has to do with China. I care about what it does in the United States. I'm going to let him finish. I'm just pointing it out. He's lying to you. He's lying to you, just like he was lying to you in the interview yesterday.
Includes intellectual property and other things. There are a lot of things far beyond just buy, sell. So we'll see what happens. But, you know, I was not, because somebody said, well, were you happy? I said, I am not happy. I want China to do well. I want every country to do well.
As I said, a bullshitter, bullshitting his way through a press conference. Fantastic question, pointing out, hey, this trade war is not doing well for us. People lost trillions of dollars. Their 401ks have taken a massive hit. And now we've seen GDP drop, which means layoffs. I want to keep this going because the brain dead, incompetent people in his administration are trying to spin yarn into gold and saying some of the weirdest, dumbest things that people could say. This is Navarro, the one that got into a fight with Elon Musk. Listen to what he says here about, as I keep pointing out, a 2.7% contraction in the economy.
I got to say just one thing about today's news. That's the best negative print I have ever seen in my life. And the markets need to look beneath the surface of that. We had a 22% increase in domestic investment. That is off the charts when you strip out inventories and the negative effects of the surge in imports because of the tariffs. You had 3% growth. So we really like where we're at.
Hey, if you take out all of the bad stuff, we did fantastic. If you remove all of the bad stuff that's in it, we did great. If you take out this, if you take out this, if you take out this, if you take out that, if you get rid of that, this economy is awesome. This is nonsense. Nobody told Trump to have a trade war. Nobody voted for a trade war. Nobody expected a trade war. Trump himself did this. Again, if I give him the benefit of the doubt, him looking at an issue and saying, this is a problem that needs to be dealt with, fine. On some level, that's why people voted for him. But to come to an assessment that you're going to roll back 50 years of globalization that the United States itself kicked off, and you're going to do it in one man in a country with 5% of the world, and you are going to effectively attack the world and come up with this nonsense stab in the back myth of the America as a whipping post. Everybody's taking advantage of us. And so we need to have this muscular economic policy in order to bend the world to our whims where we can take advantage of the rest of the world. Not so much. Not so much. It's outrageous. It's insane. And yet it is what Donald Trump is trying to do. And all of this talk about him talking to China is nonsense. Nonsense. So this Brett Baer doing good work, actually. U.S. Trade Representative is having a conversation with Brett Baer. I want you to hear what the U.S. Trade Representative says about this notion of talking to China, because he kind of let the cat out of the bag, something that all of us knew Trump was lying about. Anyway, this is Brett Baer. Credit to Brett Baer for this.
Leaders level with the president, the prime minister, but we stand ready to engage.
Last thing, for the people who look at this policy and say this is designed to put pressure on China, it's all designed to kind of put the squeeze on China. Is that a fair assessment? Are you trying to get China to the table in a weakened negotiating state because that's the biggest adversary?
I think that's a very Washington thing to think.
Look at it?
I think it is. But, for me, we're worried about the United States of America. We have this giant trade deficit. We have offshore manufacturing. Our ag exports are way down. It's affecting normal people in the country. We want them to have jobs. We want them to have opportunities. Obviously, China is a huge part of this, and we want to make sure that we have fair trade with China.
And they're not official talks yet, right?
Not yet. Not yet.
So no talks. No, not yet. Not yet. No conversations with China. No. And China backs us up because the foreign minister, Wang Yi, has also pointed out there are no talks between the United States and China. And China would not pick up the phone to call Donald Trump. He's going to be waiting for a very long time for that phone call because from their point of view, the 5,000 years will come to an end before we make a phone call to Donald Trump. That's what they are. That's what they